Hello and welcome to the Digital Orphanage. Do you have an Amiga 1200 that instead of emitting sweet music like this, instead sounds more like an Atari ST than you'd ever want it to? Or instead of pleasing your ears with this, makes you think a 1983 Ford Fiesta XR2 with a blown exhaust is driving past your home. Then maybe you need to stick around. This is my Amiga 1200 and I've owned it from new since 1992, and sadly that horrible noise was coming from it. Recapping it had long been on my to-do list, but then the audio became corrupt. Leaking caps in the audio circuit is known to cause poor audio on the Amiga, so I knew it was overdue. My 1200 has a revision 1D.1 motherboard, and with my surface mount soldering skills now being reasonably good, I finally felt up to having a go with the recap, doing what I think was a pretty tidy job. With shiny new caps throughout, and Chucky's diagram installed, I'd hoped to hear Chucky's anthem sound perfect like this. But alas, it still sounded awful, with every sound channel affected. Had I broken something while soldering, or was there some leaking capacitor damage I'd missed? The only capacitors that I'd seen signs of leakage on were C303 and C304. The leak from C304 had caused its pad on the motherboard to lift clean off, but I'd already repaired that with wire when I'd replaced the capacitors. Looking at the circuit diagram from amigawiki.org, we can see that both C303 and C304 are part of the audio decoupling circuit and connect between audio ground and the op-amp IC. And using the invaluable Amiga PCB Explorer, we can see exactly where those connections are routed on the board. The solid line shows where the circuit trace is on the top layer of the circuit board, and the dotted line shows that some of the circuit trace is on the back of the board. The traces on either side of the board are connected by vias, tiny metal eyelets that go through a hole in the board, and right where the leaking capacitors were are a couple of vias. When we look at the via on C303 under the microscope, there is some corrosion and the continuity had high resistance between the op-amp and the pad on C303. The continuity between C304 and the op-amp was fine though. Flipping the motherboard over, the via on the right, from C304, suffered some corrosion but still looks in reasonable condition. Compare that though to the via on the left from C303, which looks like it's hanging on by a sliver. And this is what the vias should look like. So how can we repair this board? Well, with some 0.2mm enamelled wire, that's how. Costing me £4 in 2019, this 34m spool currently costs about £7. That's inflation for you. We have a problem though. The via is filled with solder mask and corrosion. We need a way through this board. Thankfully in my toolkit I already have a set of very thin drill bits, with the thinnest being 0.3mm in diameter. Instead of being powered by a motor, you hold it like a pen and twist it. And it's perfect for clearing out the middle of the via to make a hole. The enamelled wire can now fit through the board. On either side, a small area of solder mask is scraped back to expose the copper circuit trace. And a quick wipe with an IPA soaked cotton bud leaves a good surface to solder to. Don't forget a nice serving of good quality flux before applying some solder. And if at first you're not happy, apply some more flux. Being so thin, you don't need to cut the wire to length before soldering, just gently move it back and forth until it breaks off. Not forgetting to clean up with a fresh IPA soaked cotton bud. Rinse and repeat on the other side of the board. Checking continuity now between the op amp and the capacitor pad shows it's perfect again. So let's get those capacitors back into their homes. I still have plenty of UV activated solder mask that I bought for the Amiga 2000 repair. So let's protect the exposed connection on the back of the board. So with it ready to test, what will it sound like? The suspense was killing me. Had I fixed my precious Amiga 1200? It's with great relief to say yes indeed I had. So let this be a tale to take heed of. If your Amiga 1200 still has its original capacitors, for the love of all things Amiga, go and replace them. And until next time, goodbye.